The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is Canelo sets his sights on Bivol. There's been reports that the fight between Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez has fallen through, and he's looking at Plan B. And there are reports from ESPN that Plan B is looking like Dmitry Bivol. So here's an article for ESPN. Um, Yeah, so here's what the article says. If Alvarez is going to fight on September 18th, time is running out. Fortunately for Alvarez, a fight with 175-pound champion Dmitry Bivol was explored, sources told ESPN, as a potential Plan B option. In the event a matchup with Plant couldn't be finalized, Matchroom Sports, Eddie Hearn, and Bivol promoter, Russian-based World of Boxing are planning the 30-year-old's next fight on the zone. If Alvarez wants to pursue the Bivol showdown, talks could quickly resume. Bivol is a great fight, and Saul has proved time and time again his willingness to fight champions. Hearn, the promoter of Canelo and Bivol's last 3 fights on the zone, told ESPN on Thursday. It would be another great fight and an incredible run. Bivol is looking for that legacy fight as well. We'll have to see what happens over the next few days. The September 18th bout with Plant would have been contested for undisputed 168-pound champion. Alvarez holds 3 super middleweight titles. Plant owns the 4th. A matchup with Bivol, though, would be at 175 pounds. Alvarez, 31, has competed at light heavyweight once. A November 2019 knockout of Russia's Sergey Kovalev that won Alvarez a title in a 4th weight class. He also claimed titles at 150 pounds and 160 on his way to earning recognition as ESPN's #1 pound-for-pound boxer. Alvarez is also rated #1 at 168. So ESPN finally acknowledges Canelo Alvarez as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. So I'm gonna turn it over to Trill Dollar Bill. What is your reaction to? I guess we should talk about this because we haven't really talked about it. The Caleb Plant fight not happening, and Dmitry Bivol being the backup for Canelo Alvarez.
Okay, the first part with Caleb and Canelo, I'm not surprised. We already talked about it on the show. You know how everybody was trying to line their pockets in for the future. With a Canelo. People want a lot. They want to be compensated. And they want to be in the Canelo business, but they want to be compensated. There's a lot of things that go in there. I'm not mad. I kind of seen that this was probably going to happen. Either they was going to price themselves out, or they was going to try to make some. They want to hold their little stake over there. That's fine. It kind of sucks because Canelo was trying to get undisputed, and I think he deserves the opportunity to fight for that. To be the first Mexican fighter to have undisputed at 168. I think that sucks. But boxing is business, and sometimes the business takes over, the actual boxing, the joy of it, As far as Bivol goes, yeah, it really sucks that we could make the Caleb fight happen. But maybe Caleb can do something and they can work out something later on. That really sucks that they can't make it happen. But I'm not surprised. I kind of knew that this was something that was going to happen. We all hinted it, actually, at this might be this something that might happen. But as far as Dmitry Bivol goes, I like this fight. I like this fight for Canelo. I'm a huge Canelo fan. Everybody knows that. And this is a fight that is easy, I think, for Canelo. I seen in the last Bivol fights, even though he won, I seen that it seemed like he was kind of made for a Canelo. Yes, he's a stronger guy, but he's just not ready. He's just not ready for the likes of a Canelo. So when he gets in there with a Canelo, you will see. I think Canelo wins. It's just because Bivol is just not ready yet. He's just not ready. But he is a strong, durable, and he is a champion. And this will be he's a tough kid. But I just say Canelo winning this one.
All right, Kaspira G.
It's not a bad fight. It's not a bad fight. I'm sorry. It's not a bad fight. It's a good fight.
All right. In regards to Canelo Caleb Plant not happening, I'm really disappointed. I really wanted to see that fight. Now, both sides, I see both sides' points on why this fight isn't happening. I know a lot of people think that Canelo's his demands as the A side was really, really high, but nonetheless, hey, I'm of the cloth. If you can negotiate it, hey, take it, And so this was supposed to be, Canelo's highest payday, $40 million, which both sides agreed. And Canelo asked for the rights to the Mexican television broadcasting, whatever, to the fight. Al Heyman and PBC said, cool, you had that. But then Canelo said, and I think this is what caused the real issues. Canelo was like, hey, if Plant can't fight that day, y'all got to give me a replacement, but I'm still getting $40 million. And if I can't make it that day, we're just going to reschedule for the Plant fight. So then Plant was like, yo, this isn't fair, right? Now, to me, I could kind of see what Plant's saying, but knowing what Canelo went through with Golden Boy, like where I think was it Mexican Independence Day? It was one of those Mexican holidays. He was supposed to fight, but then he got stripped of a belt, this, that, and the third. Then he had to go to court. So then he didn't get to fight for that one holiday. You could tell that's in the back of his mind. And then also with Billy Joe Saunders, that last fight that he had with BJS, the day of not the day, but like the week of the fight, he was threatening to walk, right? So if you're in Canelo's shoes, I think you put that in the contract. Like, hey, you know what? Yo, give me $40 million regardless if it's Plant or somebody else. Because just in case Plant gets cold feet the week of the fight or whatever, I don't give a damn. I want my money. I can't hate on Canelo for that, right? Like, it sounds extreme, but knowing what Canelo has went through in the past, he's justified in that. Especially seeing his last fight, homie try to pull the ring is too small. Y'all better give me a bigger ring or I'm out of here. So he's just like, hey, you know what, Plant? You're going to pay me regardless, B. You know what I mean? Just to let you know that right now. So Plant felt disrespected. Plant is a champion, and they was talking about a one-sided rematch clause and stuff like that. But I'm not necessarily I'll say this. I think they should provide a rematch clause for both gentlemen. I understand Canelo got more belts. However, Plant is still a champion. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of feel like, and not to mention, I think it'll be a dope 1 and 2 unless Canelo just mops him. But nonetheless, I kind of feel like, Al should have fought for a two-sided rematch clause. But now in regards to the Canelo and Bivol fight, low-key, I'm kind of disappointed, but I understand. Like, Bivol's with Eddie, so, it's an easy fight to make. I don't think Canelo's going to make $40 million, though, for that fight. I don't think they're going to do that. But I would have liked it if, and I know this is wishful thinking, but why couldn't Eddie just set up that Boo-Boo fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, Boo-Boo, we know he's ready. You know what I'm saying? He's under Eddie. People want to see it. There's been talks about this for the longest. Make that fight, man. It'd be hilarious. Like the build up for it, the promo. We already got Canelo swinging at his dad. You know what I'm saying? So it's already set. And another thing I don't like about this, if in fact the Bivol fight's gonna happen, you notifying Bivol last minute. So to me that's gonna be a real short training camp for my man Bivol. And I don't know. I kind of feel like that's to Canelo's advantage. So even though Bivol is a heavier guy naturally, you are still going up against a Canelo. You will want, a lengthier training camp just to prepare for Canelo. But nonetheless, if it's going to be a big payday for Bivol, take the fight. I just kind of feel like this whole time Canelo was negotiating with Plant. Now Plant's not happening, so now he's going on a whole nother route. And I don't necessarily know if that's going to be fair for Bivol, but nonetheless, he takes the fight, man. That's on him. I just hope he gets fairly compensated for this fight.
TVE, welcome back.
Thank you. Canelo fighting Bivol. I said it before. When fighters mention Canelo's name, they want a payday. When Canelo go up in weight, he want to fight AJ. So let's get it. You know what's coming. I said it here first. Canelo versus AJ 2025 is the biggest match. It's gonna bring boxing back. It's gonna put it on the.
Yo,
it's gonna
that
be
loud got him seen in the future.
Yes.
Hey,
everything.
Hey Ned, what's that? Hey Ned, what's that called when you just keep going up in weight?
Bigorexia, baby. And my man love it. Pause. It sounds crazy coming out of my mouth, but yo, Canelo, I'm with you, yo. AJ. Yo, you trying to be the face of boxing.
Payday.
No.
That's what they're going to name the fight. If Boo Boo fight Canelo, that's what they're going to dub the name of the fight. Payday.
Canelo going to change pay-per-view to payday. Oh, man.
So a few things. One, G did a great job of pointing out Canelo asking for $40 million, even if Plant can't make the fight. And there's some good reasons for that. One, we've seen Billy Joe Saunders try to pull out the fight, but recently we've seen people use C19 as a reason not to fight. And so basically what it seems like to me is Canelo wants to fight on September 18th. I believe that's a big Mexican like Independence Day date. So he wants that date. He wants to fight on that date. What he's saying is if you can't get me Caleb, you got to give me someone else. Can you just imagine Caleb can't make the fight? They would try to give him like Benavidez or something anyway. And he may even take it still. But you still don't think he would deserve 40 to fight Benavidez? Let's reverse it. What if Charlo agreed to take that fight short notice? Jamal. What if Jamal agreed to take that fight on short notice? You don't think he would still deserve 40? Those are still difficult fights. In G's mind, Benavidez would be a more difficult fight than Caleb. In my mind,
delusional or something. You know what I mean? I don't know how that sounded. I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
I never said he was delusional.
It sounded funny, Stan. I'm just saying.
I said that to acknowledge the fact that you've become the head of the Benavidez train on this show. So, and you know that yourself. Everybody got their fighters, and Benavidez has somehow fallen under the G's banner. How and when and why, I don't know. But all of a sudden, G has become Team Benavidez. So that's why I said it. So yes, let me ask you a question. Do you agree or disagree that David Benavidez would be a tougher fight for Canelo Alvarez than?
I definitely agree. I'm just saying.
But then what did I say that was wrong?
It made it seem like I'm on an island by myself.
I never said that. You just felt that way.
Yeah, you caught me off guard with that statement. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, yo, Malik, calm down. I'm not Fury. All right. I think Benavidez is arguably a tougher fight for him. Just like I think Jamal Charlo would arguably be a tougher fight for Canelo Alvarez than Caleb Plant. So PBC does have some fighters that they could substitute for Caleb Plant that would probably be harder or be just as difficult as a Caleb Plant. So I don't think there's anything wrong with still asking for that money, because you know that in order to salvage the fight, they're going to have to give him a decent name, right? And he's agreeing that he'll take that name last minute as long as you pay him $40 million. To me, that's a hell of a guy. You should salute that guy.
He just want to secure the bag.
That's a salute for me. Someone who's like, listen, I'm showing up on September 18th, and I want to be undisputed. I want to make history for Mexico. But I'm still willing to fight if that guy's not available, so long as you give me my money. Salute, brother. That's real. Give me that's a real stuff. When you factor in people pulling out of fights, people catching C-19, all types, I salute that. So that's one. Here we go again when it comes to Canelo Alvarez. And to me, I don't like this. When it comes to Canelo Alvarez, what spectators do, what fans do, is they look for reasons to nitpick the opponent that he's fighting. They look for reasons to discredit his opponent, to say that he's getting the guy at the right time, to say that the guy's not ready, to say all this stuff. It reminds me of what they used to do to Floyd. I'm sick of it. Canelo Alvarez is fighting the best competition in boxing. It's debatable between him and Anthony Joshua who's fighting the better competition. But all I know is these guys are taking on challenge after challenge after challenge. Unlike some, the irony of the situation, though, is some fighters could fight a taxi driver and people will find ways to build the taxi driver up into being one of the greatest fighters you ever seen. However, when Canelo fights a dangerous fighter, people find ways to discredit it and make it seem as though he's fighting a taxi driver. It's unreal to me what people do in the sport of boxing. Fanboyism at its highest. So, Dmitry Bivol is a 175-pound champion. Dmitry Bivol is viewed by many people as one of the best young talents in the game. He's viewed as a dangerous fighter. Yes, he was just in a fight where he didn't look his best against the fighter from the UK. His name escapes me at the time, but it ended up being a close fight on the cards. But most of that was due to fatigue because Bivol had won the earlier rounds. Now people want to say, oh, Bivol's only going to get a 6-week training camp. And what is Canelo going to get? Up until this entire time, Canelo was preparing and believing he was going to fight Caleb Plant. Now, let's do this hypothetical. You don't think Bivol was training or training or thinking he's about to have a fight coming up soon? I think he was. So here you have Canelo Alvarez training because he believes he's going to fight soon, and you have Bivol training believing he's going to fight soon. On the same day, they learn they're going to fight each other. Where's the disadvantage? Where's the disadvantage? There's no disadvantage. The issue is people want to find reasons to discredit Canelo. If I learn I'm going to fight someone at the same time the other person finds out, where's the disadvantage? There would be a disadvantage if Canelo was training for like the last 5 months to fight Bivol and Bivol didn't find out until today. This whole time he thought he was going to fight Caleb. This whole time he's been in preparation for Caleb. Okay, G has something to say. Go ahead.
All right, listen. Canelo is the A side. So Canelo, I'm pretty sure, like when I look at the Caleb Plant Canelo negotiations, right? Like it seems like every time Plant agreed to something, Canelo wanted something else and something else and something else, right? It could be argued that Canelo probably didn't really necessarily want the fight with Plant, and this whole time was really preparing for Bivol. You know what I mean? So we don't know that. Like
again, another argument against Canelo is if his resume suggests he's someone who wants to help someone. As if
I never said ducking Caleb Plant. What I'm saying is, think about this. When Canelo tells Plant, yo, listen, if I get sick or whatever, I can't fight on that day, you just have to wait for me. And he's like, Plant's like, yo, what? You know what I'm saying? That's just
okay. Right, stop right there. What's Plant's other option? To fight someone else and make $10 million? He's not going to generate the revenue. Hold on, bro. Hold on. The only reason why there's even enough money to go around is because Canelo's selling the tickets. Canelo's generating the revenue. If you remove Canelo Alvarez from that fight, Caleb Plant is fighting Caleb Trulax on Fox Television.
Trust me.
Get the hell out of here. So that's why, there's no mission.
I think you're not understanding what I'm saying. Because everything that Canelo did add within the negotiation, I actually agree with what Canelo's doing, right? However, nonetheless, I'm not Plant. And Plant's probably like, yo, this isn't fair, right? So then now, this whole time, Plant's like, yo, I've been agreeing with this guy. He asked for this, we give it to him. So we're thinking the fights will go, and next thing you know, he's coming up with more demands. That kind of tells me, it's like, yo, how can Canelo then just flat out say, this is my demands right here, take it or leave it from Jump Street, and then allow PBC to be like, all right, cool, or allow PBC just to do a flat out kind of like, nah, we agree to this, but not that. Why say, hey, I want this, and then they go, all right, cool, then come back, I also want this, all right, cool, then I also want this, and then Plant's like, yo, come on, we gave you all of this, and now you're asking for this. It's not fair. So then now that kind of tells me, did Canelo really want that fight at that moment? I don't know. And we know that Bivol's already with DAZN. So in the back of Canelo's mind, that was always his alternate. Bivol probably even knew that because maybe Eddie was probably talking to him. I don't know. But what I'm saying is to pretend like Canelo didn't know this, that Bivol's his backup. I don't believe that, bro. Like Canelo always had this dude as his backup.
Dollar bill, go
Have him as his backup? Nah, maybe he probably had him in the back of his mind. Maybe this is another challenge that he wants to challenge himself. Canelo Alvarez, first of all, let me say, no boxing, no life. No boxing, no life. That's how I'm going to start this off with. No boxing, no life. Canelo is in a messed up situation right here. When you're the number one pound for pound star in the sport, right? And you're beating guys that are supposed to give you a challenge with no effort, right? So it starts thinking you're not that good. These people just gotta suck. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Roy Jones effect. The Roy Jones effect.
So when it comes to the Caleb Plant situation, Canelo said this all the time. People all the time, they want to fight. Oh, they say, yeah, I want to fight. Blah, blah, blah. They get in there and start taking punches, and then it's like, oh, no. It's just different. It's different when he gets in there. And then it's different when it's the build-up to these fights. These guys always say they want to fight until it's time to fight. Then there's always something going on. There's something going on behind the scenes. This person might not want to fight. This person, then they get in the fight, and it might not be an entertaining fight because these guys don't really want to fight. So he wants to make sure that he's compensated. Like Hayden was saying, he doesn't miss out on another opportunity. Like those are his fights. He likes Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day.
Mm-hmm.
The September 15th, right? Those are the days that he wants. Those are those two main. If he wants to get the fights on those two main holidays, right? That's where he wants to fight around. He wants to secure that bag no matter what, and I can't get mad at him. He already played the games with people before. You can't get mad at him for securing the bag. We're seeing what's going on with everything in the sport with all the other fighters. We see what just happened with AJ. We see what happened. You had poor Eddie. He's with Eddie. He's seen what Eddie had to go through, spending all that gas money, going flying all around the world trying to make this fight happen. He said, oh, no, Eddie, we're not going to go through that because these guys really didn't want to fight. I'm going to put fire under their butt to make sure that they show up that day. So Al made sure that he'll go drive to Caleb's house and pick him up and make sure that he's at the arena. You know what I'm saying? That's where I see that's coming from. And as far as what you were saying about Dmitry Bivol, the reason, right, we have to say all these things about a Dmitry Bivol is because this is what the critics are going to say, bro. They're going to say, oh, Dmitry Bivol didn't have the type of, it's a disadvantage because, you know, Canelo's a phenom and Canelo's this guy with the most experience and he's the stronger. I mean, he's the guy that's been in the game longer and this like that. This is what happens when you're on top. You know this and I know this for a fact. He is never going to get the credit he deserves until he's out of this sport. There's always going to be somebody they're going to say somebody else. Then when he fights them, they're going to be like, oh, well, this guy was after that guy. Well, this guy, something was wrong. His cousin had sprained his ankle on his moped, you know, and it affected him. That's why he could. It's always going to be something. And that's what happens when you're the number one guy in the sport. And we've seen it with all the greats.
The Mayweather effect, and that's what I was getting at. I do have the floor, so I'm going to reclaim it for a second. Back to it. It's the Mayweather effect, like Trill's pointing out. When Floyd would beat someone, oh, he got him too late. But then someone would beat him after Floyd, and then all of a sudden it was a good victory. Right? Floyd beats Canelo Alvarez, and people say Canelo Alvarez was too young. That same young Canelo was beating elite fighters, though. That same young Canelo still continued to beat elite fighters after. He was only no good the day and the night when he fought Floyd Mayweather. That day he was, every day before that and every day after that, he was the great Canelo. Man, stop it. Like, at the end of the day, man, boxing is boxing. Don't tell me about Dmitry Bivol not having enough time for camp. He's a champion at 175 pounds. Canelo's moving up to his division, which ironically, another knock against Canelo Alvarez is that he didn't beat a real champ at 175. He beat Sergey Kovalev, Brian Kinney. Remember, Brian Kinney made that argument. So now he's going to fight a real 175 pounder, and the argument is he's not giving the 175 pounder enough time. Like, why do people nitpick at Canelo Alvarez fight choices and not other fighters? Why don't they hold other fighters to the same standard? Right? And this is why fanboyism is at its highest. And also overlooking the fact that Bivol would be plan B. And G wants to create a conspiracy. G, let's play with it. If Bivol was plan B from the jump, and I'm Bivol, and I know that Canelo Alvarez is negotiating a fight with Caleb Plant that may fall through, I'm training anyway. You know why? Because I'm prepared to call him out if the fight falls through. As soon as they announce that the fight falls through, even if I wasn't on the radar and I was Dmitry Bivol, I'd be like, Canelo, I'm available. I'm available, baby. Let's go. Payday, payday. I'm available. Anybody in 168 and 175
they're on alert.
Training when Canelo is looking for a fight, hoping that he calls their name.
Especially if they're on the zone.
I think maybe I misunderstood what I was saying. I'm more on some poor Plant because I'm beginning to feel like Canelo versus Bivol was the plan all along. That's the issue. But if Canelo beats Bivol, the excuse that's going to come up.
They anticipated.
Let me just finish my point. The excuse that people are going to say is, oh, Bivol had a subpar training camp, this, that, and the third. So that provides an excuse for Bivol. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I agree with that excuse.
You walk in the ring. G, what you're saying is wrong with so many levels. I have to tell you. I don't want to give that example. You're assuming that they knew that Caleb Plant wouldn't accept the contract. And I don't necessarily believe that the terms were bad terms. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that leverage matters. And if you're Caleb Plant, you have to take a strong look in the mirror and say, if I don't fight Canelo, who am I going to fight? Before you fought Canelo, Caleb, you fought Caleb Trulax on Fox in a lackluster fight where you couldn't even knock the dude out. And what was your purse for that fight? Nowhere near what you're going to make to fight Canelo. When Canelo makes his demands, you have to understand that he's the big fish. And if you don't fight him, he's going to turn his attention to someone else. Yeah, he won't make 40, but he already had a contract where he was going to make $33 million a fight. So let's not act like this 40 was going to be some groundbreaking number for him. It was going to be his highest payday, and it was going to be by like $7 million. You're talking about a man who makes a lot of money from endorsements and other things anyway. So it wasn't like he was trying to break the bank. It was like, so, okay, I won't fight you then, Caleb. I really just want undisputed anyway. I'll fight Bivol and make $30 million, and you're going to fight who and make what? And that's where it lies. That's why leverage matters. That's why what I'm trying to explain to people about situations with other fighters, you have to look at leverage and you have to look at your options because Canelo can walk away from the deal. That's why he can demand so much in the deal. And what he asked for wasn't unreasonable. Go ahead, dog.
And I also want to just add in another thing. No boxing, no life. No, and the reason why I say this is because Canelo fights for more than just money. He's doing this for legacy. And he says this time and time again. He's cut from a different cloth. He really wanted undisputed for his legacy and for Mexico to be the first Mexican fighter undisputed at 168. This is what all he's been talking about. So to say that he didn't want to fight Caleb Plant, I believe he really wanted to. I believe that he is conscious and he's aware of his legacy. And he wanted to have this under this notch under his belt for his legacy. So I definitely believe that he wanted to make this Caleb Plant fight happen.
I mean, we've been on this, so I'll just close like this.
Oh, hold on. Ned got his crooked finger.
Okay, go ahead.
Cricket. Trez, you sound like you're on my boat when I say AJ. Let's go.
Hate it, man. Finish up, man.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, man, I think it'll be a great fight. I think it will be a great accomplishment. I think once again, people overlook the danger and the risk that Canelo is taking, and overlooking the fact that he's the only fighter, with the exception of AJ, that's actually taking these risks, fighting the best back to back to back to back. He fights Callum Smith. And all I hear is people act like Callum Smith wasn't the number one rated 168 pounder by all credible rating sources. When he fights Billy Joe Saunders, I heard a lot of people predicting a close fight. I heard some people predict a split decision. I heard some people predict Billy Joe Saunders will win, but it would be a robbery. I predict a stoppage. That's what it was. And then I hear people saying, it was a fake fight. It was a fixed fight. It was this. It was that. The man's never going to get his credit, unfortunately. He's always going to be critiqued differently. You know, at the end of the day, I don't want to hear any fighter at 168 and 175 was caught off guard by Canelo, because as long as he's looking for a fight, you should be in camp training, hoping to hit the lottery. Even a guy from 160, Google Andrade, was trying to hit the lottery, and he would have been ready to train. So don't give me this 6-week crap. When you're the B side, accept it. Even the great legendary Floyd Mayweather accepted that he was the B side to Oscar De La Hoya. Gave up the size of the gloves they were going to wear. And that was later on. Gave up the size of the gloves. What ring you want, whatever, I don't care. I just want you in the ring and a chance to beat you. That's what you do when you're hungry. That's what you do when you're trying to become the superstar. All this other stuff, all this everything else has become ridiculous. So Bivol, if he gets to fight, come ready. Canelo, come ready. It'll be a huge fight, and Bivol will get a payday, payday, payday.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe, and check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros. No boxing, no life.
You're welcome.